Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I know it's the weekend, so I won't try to take up too much of your time, but I just want to announce my bullish thesis around Alibaba and why I'm more confident than ever on my biggest investment. Okay, so here I own, we can see here I own 10 shares of Alibaba, which represents a cap of like $3,097. That's in Canadian. Which is 31% of my Canadian portfolio. Okay, and right now I'm up by 1% or 1.6%, but I'm holding for the long term. Okay, I'm not selling this anytime soon. All right, so let's get into my bull thesis. So, one, I just want to say, of course, the reason why Alibaba dropped by about like 30% was because there are a lot of bearish sentiment towards this stock. Okay, so it lost pretty much 100 billion market cap. All right, and when you're looking at a company with 658 billion market cap, even after a 30% drop, a 30% drop in this big of a company is huge. That's a lot of investors pulling out their money from Alibaba. All right. So again, the main piece of bearish uh, on the bearish thesis is, of course, number one, that China went after Ant Group and banned Ant Group from going public, which is an affiliate of Alibaba, which we're going to go over later. Number two is Jack Ma spoke out against the Chinese Communist Party or CCP financial regulations, likening them to like a pawn shop. Pretty much. So Jack Ma hasn't been seen in like 4 months. All right, he hasn't posted on Twitter since like October 20th, which is just ridiculous. He's now like the China's second richest man. So that also led to a decline in share prices. Another piece of bearish news was that Alibaba was actually going to get blacklisted from the New York Stock Exchange. And again, that means that many American investors wouldn't actually be able to invest in Alibaba. Okay, so those are the bearish points. All right, now I'm going to go over why I'm more confident than ever on Alibaba. Okay, so number one is Jack Ma. Although he founded Alibaba, he's not the CEO. All right, the CEO is Daniel Zhang right now. Okay, and so, I mean, although we haven't seen Jack Ma in a while, that doesn't mean that Alibaba is just like completely obliterated. Okay, no, Alibaba is still performing and is still doing very, very well. Okay, so, there's a lot of speculation that Jack Ma is dead, that, the someone took him and killed him or whatever, but other sources say that's not true. And I believe, again, like other billionaires who have had to do this in the past, they're just laying low. Okay, so Jack Ma, who disappeared along with four other billionaires, are just laying low, and that's what some equity firm says. Okay. And this is something called China's Secret Detentions Act. So I mean, he's probably just laying low because he's required to by the Chinese Communist Party, and someone and former Chinese Goldman Sachs chairman clarified in media that Matt was intact, well, and physically sound. Okay. So again, I just think he's lying low, and I mean, it's distressing that Jack Ma hasn't posted on Twitter since like October 10th. So we haven't seen or heard of anything from him for a couple months. All right, can you imagine, Jeff Bezos just like kind of like completely going off the face of the earth for 4 months, 4 or 5 months, or even Elon Musk? This guy lives on Twitter, so it's just crazy. You can't just have, again, he was the China's richest man, now he's China's second richest man because of the steep drop of Alibaba. But this doesn't just happen, right? But I mean, I guess in China, where everything is so tightly regulated and controlled, yes, it can and it does happen. Okay, and that's just reality of it. But again, as soon as Jack Ma appears, which I think is only a matter of time before he does appear, I think the stock will see a nice rally. Okay, so that's one piece of my bullish news, is that Alibaba is still going strong, and even though Jack Ma is missing, he will reappear, and I think that'll be a good sign for Alibaba. Okay, so that's probably my weakest point. All right, and my next point is that the Treasury Department, the U.S. Treasury Department, actually decided not to blacklist Alibaba. Okay, so as we can see here, this was on the 8th, I think. And I think this was this past week, but pretty much China stocks jump as Alibaba and Tencent not included in China blacklist. Okay, so I believe this jump was just seen in the past 5 days. I think this was resulted in like a 3.5 or 5% increase in the price because now Alibaba is not blacklisted. Okay, from the New York Stock Exchange. Next piece of news is Alibaba unveils new electric vehicle partnership. Okay, and this is with SIAC Motors. So Chinese mobile and online e-commerce giant Alibaba Group Holdings has revealed a new partnership with state-owned SIAC Motor Corp. Okay, now even this is kind of like really, really funny to me because, not only does the Chinese Communist Party want to pretty much give Alibaba a huge slap on the wrist and say, oh, like, you're practicing in monopolistic partnerships, like you can't do that, but yet they're allowing them to expand and even partner with a state-owned motor company. To me, that's just like contradicting lines of evidence right there, okay? And SIAC is, of course, working on electric vehicles. And again, this is like a pretty big company. Okay, so I found that it's the largest car maker in China. It sold 5.6 million vehicles in 2020, ranking first in China for the past 15 years. Okay, so which is ridiculous. And now they're, of course, focusing on electric vehicles. And I mean, so for Alibaba to be partnering with SIAC Motors, I mean, I think that's good news. Okay, and I think they're owning an 18% stake in SIAC Motors. All right. And finally, another piece of bullish news for me is that Ant Group kicks off the overhaul of its fintech operations under the watchful eye of China's central bank and financial regulators. Okay, so I mean, Ant Group wasn't allowed to go public just even a couple days before it was supposed to go public, but now it's gearing up to go public again under of course, the watchful eye and making sure that it meets all financial regulations. Okay, so as soon as Ant goes public, which Alibaba owns a third stake in this fintech powerhouse, Ant. So, I mean, once this goes public, this will also increase Alibaba's stock price. All right. So again, these are all factors that are, sort of coming together in a relatively in the next few months, that I see being huge indicators of potential growth in Alibaba's stock price. Okay. So, Alibaba will directly benefit from Ant Group actually going public. All right. So again, world's largest fintech group is drawing up a timetable for restructuring its operations. Credit services, its most lucrative business, likely to be moved into a financial holding company, industry sources say. All right. So again, that's just news, but again, it's only a matter of time, I believe, before Ant actually goes public. Okay. And the next piece of news is just even with this current price, you know, one look at the revenue growth of Alibaba. Okay, so it was from in 2017 158 billion in revenue to 2020 to 509 billion in revenue. Okay, and it pretty much earned as much. Net earnings were close to 150 billion, which is how much it earned in 2017. So we can see huge growth. Even in the kind of past quarters, it was definitely affected by the pandemic, but we still see very, very solid growth despite the pandemic. Okay, and if we're looking at some stats, we're looking at a company with a forward PE of 19, trailing PE of 32, which is incredibly cheap for a company that's expected to grow by, if we see revenue growth by next quarter, so March 2021, by 66% year over year. In 2021, it's expected to go 48%, okay, year over year, and next year 29%. So double digit growth for some time to come. But like 48% and 30%, you don't value a company like that with a 19 or 20 forward PE or even a 32 forward PE. For comparison, Amazon right here, $3,100 has forward PE of 58 and trailing PE of 90.77. And I mean, of course, some of you must say that you can't compare Amazon to Alibaba. Alibaba is a lot more uncertain, and of course, sure, you're paying a risk premium for Alibaba, but one, I think Alibaba actually has a bigger market. Okay, so when you're looking at China in general, the rise of the middle class in China is tremendous. Okay, and it definitely outpowers, I would say, the rise of America's middle class. Okay, so I would say not only do they have a bigger market, they potentially have more room to grow. Okay, but they have more room to grow in my opinion, and Amazon is valued at like multiples of what Alibaba is being valued at. Okay, trailing P of 90 and forward P of 58 compared to a trailing P of 33 and forward P of 20. All right, so I think this company is incredibly undervalued. And when the pieces start clicking in together, so when Ant Group goes public, when more people find out about this electric vehicle partnership, which is a state-owned motor company, Ant Group again going public, Jack Ma hopefully reappearing someday sooner rather than later. I think this is going to be a huge bull move in the stock price. Okay, and I think this move upwards is only going to go up. All right, if we're looking at the 1 month stock price, we can see it hit a bottom at $222. Now it's at $243. And I kind of only see it going up from here. There might be one or two more reversals, but I think the general move is upwards. Okay, so let me know what you think about this video. I know it was a bit longer than expected, but I really appreciate all your support, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss any moves on my portfolio, if you want to go and see my buy and sells and also be part of a community, definitely feel free to check out my Patreon link below and reach out to me with any questions, concerns, and comments that you have. Okay, so take care, make sure you subscribe, and until next time, see you later and have a fantastic weekend.